Good morning, Mr. Ranjit Kapoor. It's a pleasure to welcome you. And we are going to begin the meeting. And I'll put on your video on Spotlight in another 4 minutes. Let me just give the basic disclaimers. We are conducting the meeting in accordance with the Ministry of Affairs guidelines for Zoom. There have been Zoom bombing, large number of incidences. In fact, even today, there's been report in Times of India about the Zoom bombing, which has happened with a football coach team yesterday, which is a major problem. So we have undertaken large number of steps, and there is no screen sharing allowed. There is no audio and video of anyone else except for the speaker. We are going to open up the audios and videos for those who raise hands and would like to ask questions in the question answer session at the end of the sequence. The essence of life and growth is the theme of the webinar. And what we are trying to bring out here is a positivity which is required, which we feel is missing in the last couple of years. So we're talking about the positive aspects of life and growth. And here we're bringing you people from different walks of life. We've had professors, we've had practitioners, we have had HR people, we have had politicians, journalists, different walks of life. People are coming to come and share their experiences. I have only chosen people with more than 3 to 4 decades of experience, work experience, and then maybe about 50 to 60 years of life experience, based their sharing on the life experiences they've had in terms of dealing with life and work. We are not talking about the current scenario. We're not talking of Corona. We're not talking of COVID. And the prime objective, as I said, is to bring in positivity. Today, we have with us a very young, bright, and enterprising industrialist, although I call him the entrepreneur, although he has been in the industry for good 50 years, as we wrote in the notification, but I still call him an entrepreneur because in case of an entrepreneur, he's fighting every day. He is leading every day, and he truly represents. I've known him for good 6 years. I've had intense discussions with him on various topics. I've been on some boards with him as well, and I have learned a lot from him. And the kind of human nature I've seen in him, so I thought he would be the right kind of person to deliberate upon, although coming from an industrialist who always looked upon from being profiteers or money-making proposers, whether it is MSME or large, they always look at that face, but we have tried to have seen his human side, his lifestyle, and the humbleness which he has always had, and the way he gives respects to others in terms of taking the point of view. So I thought I will request him to share. He is currently heading, and he started this venture as the managing director of the White Metals Ltd, which is based out of Noida and has operations worldwide, and they do business worldwide. So we'll get a global perspective. He has been a global toddler. He knows about what goes on where. He has a different perspective to life. He has handled large number of legal battles. So he has a legal framework of what happens and what does not happen in the country and even outside. Although I hope there will be no legality which comes in today, but we are going to talk about the essentials of life and growth. And with that, I will be switching it on to Mr. Ranjit Kapoor. I can keep talking about him because I've had so much to learn from him. So I can keep talking about him, but then I want all of you to listen to him and understand what he has to say in terms of life and growth. Welcome, Mr. Ranjit Kapoor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aman, for your kind words. And good morning to all. I hope everyone is in pink of health and load of COVID-19 is not weighing too much on the mind. Yeah. If it is really so, the change of perception will give relief. Imagine we all are in a Vipassana camp with extended time instead of usual 10 days.
As someone told us yesterday in the forum, he was a journalist, he's a writer, he said, actually, I'm seeing positivity come out with stronger relations getting built up in these lockdowns. It's more something of more happiness coming forth amongst people, which they have actually thought and missed upon for so many years, given the stress which has been built upon. So to begin with, Kapoor, I would appreciate if you could highlight, based on your life experiences of over 50 to 60 years, of seeing life with different colors, with different shades of colors, and the way it has gone now in so many decades, both within the country, overseas, you personally as a business, within the city, and so on and so forth. What are the key essentials or the key factors you feel which are essential for life and growth?
Attitude and values. These are the basically two basic requirements, for the people to have. Okay. Now, when we talk of essence of life, it is tilted more towards spiritual side and growth towards economy. So I will be basically talking when we talk of growth on economic side, and otherwise growth has got many facets like physical, mental, stature, everything. Generally, post-retirement people attend spiritual discourses on the essence of life to try and understand life in real sense and also to pass the time more usefully. This topic is being raised during COVID-19, somewhere gets laced with dejection and inadvertently reflects that question is being raised on why the universe was created. Love all, serve all was the message given by Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba to convey the essence of life. Having said that, essence of life raises two questions before me. One is A, existence, and B, purpose. There is a verse in Rig Veda titled Nasadiya Sukta or Creation Hymn.
Correct.
It deals with cosmology and creation of universe from a position of darkness. The hymn starts with, then there was neither existence nor non-existence. Therefore, the existence is because of the creation of the God, and we must respect that. The purpose is to justify the creation, and justification is achieved by following the theory of karma.
True.
Life is a bliss. It has undergone the process of evolution right from the time of Adam and Eve. They are central to the belief that humanity is the essence of life. It was God's desire that we undergo the process of evolution to make life more meaningful and challenging. It is our duty to continue the process of evolution.
True.
Recent media reports indicate practically every 100 years, one major event has happened which has changed the course of life. Such events are nothing but a hurdle encountered during the process of evolution. Once such hurdles are crossed, life goes to the next level. We all know necessity is the mother of invention, and necessity arises only when there is a requirement to counter the actions of opponents. Here, our opponent is an invisible enemy who has created a warlike situation around the globe. It is an established fact that during the wartime, the pace of development increases substantially. So we should derive positivity from that angle. Sure. At the end of this cycle, I am confident, like Phoenix, out of the ashes, new values will arise. There is so much of technical advancement that has taken place in today's world. I'm sure our scientific fraternity will devise ways and means to tackle such catastrophic events.
True. Ranjit, I was going through, when you mentioned of Rig Veda, I remember the quote recently which I read on Rig Veda, and it says, if you want to enjoy the fruits and happiness of life, take up systematic planting of trees. Now, every one of us has a different way of looking at planting of trees. Now, as a person who comes from the business community or a person who love to take risks and build upon things, you're also building trees, which are giving fruits to every one of us. Now, how do you see this quote of the Rig Veda in terms of enhancing and bringing forth life?
I see that, so long as, deriving happiness cannot be, no one reason can be imposed on anyone to derive happiness. Happiness is a relevant term. If I say derive happiness, by helping other people. So, and I may not be planting trees, but I'm deriving happiness by serving other people, then it's fine. You know, we are serving in any case to the cause of humanity. So it is how one derives happiness within the legal framework of our country or any other country for that matter.
True. Do you know, there is a saying which I read, is growth the only evidence of life? Do you think when there is growth, only then there is evidence of life? Ranjit, are you able to hear me? Yes, are you able to hear me? Yes, I was saying, yeah, there is a saying which I came across another, which says, is growth the only evidence of life?
No, that is what I said, that growth, as I said, the process of evolution itself, you know, relates to growth. So if the evolution is taking place in the mankind, that means they are growing.
True. And in your opinion, since you have built organization, you have seen people at the grassroots level, at all levels, you have interacted with students in your own community. I know you engage with large number of social organizations. How do you think the enhancement of human capital to understand the benefits of life and growth can be taken up?
You see, one thing which I must share with you, there is immense drop in the values in humans. If I consider when I started my business, or for that matter, even when I was in school till date. So this is where we need to work. Our old value system needs to come back with adoption of the latest technologies. The value loss is there too much.
True, but given the fact that we are in a digital world today, and there is so much of implosion of plenty, the problem of plenty which is there. Everything is in plenty in terms of information, structures, facilities. Now, how do you see that, human capital, the right kind of human capital getting built up who understands the meaning of life and growth?
You see, I am very clear on this. Technology only helps to enhance your work capabilities. The human capital, if the basic value system loss is there in the mind of the people, it does not allow you to utilize the technical advancement which has taken place.
True, true. How do you see life and growth shaping up in the next 6 months to a year?
6 months to a year, it's a tough environment. I think people are worried in current situation, but once the vaccine is out, some relief will come. But certainly the way we move around is going to change. It will no longer be the same.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the efforts which are being undertaken to ease liquidity, especially because you come from the MSME segment, do you think the efforts which have been taken forward by the RBI in particular to ease liquidity in the market and flush money has helped in any way to the MSME segment?
There is a lot to be done on that. I think only simply releasing of liquidity by RBI will not work. You must have read the reports that except for State Bank of India, other banks have not even passed on the benefits given by RBI to the industry, be it as MSME or others. Okay, so government has to come out with the proper stimulus package. Otherwise, the industry may not. It will be very difficult for industry to survive.
Coming back to our topic, what is in your opinion, the success mantra for tomorrow?
There is no single word, I will say, single sentence for success mantra. It's a combination of few factors. Let us say we need first and foremost is we need to brace the reality that the times have changed. Okay. Now, when we say success, we are definitely talking about the businesses. So we need to curtail our expenses, try and reduce our bank exposure, efficiently manage our inventory. More cash in hand should be available. That is the need of the hour. And I think the transparent communication with the entire value chain should be there, and no new major capital expenditure for the next 2 years. That will lead to stabilization and perhaps growth thereafter.
Sure. And you see, these are challenging environments today. We have seen in the world similar challenging environments in the past at times. Every decade we have challenging environments which are faced by the world. Now, even today we have challenging environments. I personally feel and see them more as opportunities than any kind of a problem. What do you think can be done to sustain growth? You know, as you have been a survivor, you have followed the Darwin's principle of survival of the fittest. You know, having born your company as a small sapling in India and then taken it to such a good, great height, and still contributing and, you know, taking the risks every day. How do you see that we can ensure sustained growth in such challenging, opportunistic environments?
Okay. Now, you know, growth means jump. Okay. Therefore, before leaping, it is important to follow the basic principle. Retrieve few steps, build up the momentum, and then take a leap. What I mean here by retrieving is consolidation and stabilization before thinking of growth. This itself is going to be a daunting task in light of current situation. And once, you know, this happens, I think then the stability in growth will take place. And now, second aspect is, as I said, that first step is we need to consolidate. We need to also reorient our strategies. Those who reorient their strategies, they will survive and grow. That is number one. Okay. Now, yes, you were saying something?
No, I'm saying, please go ahead.
Yeah. Now, as you rightly said, there are opportunities also being seen, like, you know, say emotional and economic backlash against China is expected from several countries. Many countries have decided, like South Korea, Japan, France, they have decided to come out of China. Okay. Japan, in fact, you know, was thinking 4 or 5 years back, because I know one of my customers, they had similar, you know, units in China, and they were expressing their working difficulties there. So the Japan per se were thinking, and this has basically worked as a catalyst for them to shift from China. So India, depending on what policies Indian government adopts, there is a ray of hope that we should be able to get a lot of businesses opportunities in several segments from these countries. That is one part of it. Now, simultaneously, there is a threat also which is looming over our head. Although, you know, government has taken a call that, you know, no neighboring countries, free entry will not be, or free takeovers will not be there. It is against approvals. But, you know, indirectly, Chinese investors, they have got deep pockets. They can come and acquire the companies. So that is where a caution has to be there, and vision of the individual entrepreneurs have to be there to thwart their takeover. It has to, you know, government should also, if government can help to find out the person who is coming and taking over, what are his credentials, where is he coming from, you know. I don't know whether that will be possible or not. I may be talking too much on that side. You know.
So, you see, all businesses exist in a zone of uncertainty. Whether it is in India or any other developing country, or even in a developed country. I met so many industrialists at various forums in World Bank, in OECD, at ADB annual meetings. And each one of them tells me that, you know, there is so much of uncertainty. Now, as an industrialist, as an individual who has lived life, how do you set certain and bring certainty in that uncertain environment? What is that you do?
We have a basic advantage that our country has got a consumption. Okay, we don't have to depend 100% on overseas market. That is one silver lining which all of us have. Here, government role is paramount in giving comfort. Otherwise, the difficulty will be there for some time to come. Well, this is a second chance. In 2008-9, the economic meltdown had taken place, and now barely 10-11 years after COVID-19 has come. Now, both these events are not creation of the industry. If you see, the first was creation of financial institutions. Second is more political than a God's act. Okay, so it all depends. The government help will definitely be needed, but we still stand a chance because our country has got a potential of consumption.
I agree, but what I meant was that, last 50-60 years you have been in business. So
yes,
businesses go through uncertain times. Most of the things, times you don't know what are you expected to see tomorrow. When you go in your office, no labor is there, or your staff is not there, or the order gets cancelled, or something happens with the banking system, or something or the other is always happening. Now, in such uncertain environments which gets set in your mind, how do you go about actually inducing certainty in your life, in your planning, so that you can move forward?
Yes, again, as I said, this is where government definitely comes into picture. Let us say I'm going tomorrow to my factory, okay, and I have to survive. First is I have to survive, okay.
Correct.
And how can I survive? I have to curtail my because right from day one, I cannot ramp up my production to 100% level that I can accommodate 100% of the workforce which was employed earlier. Okay,
True.
So the option to lay off non-performers or even some performers, depending on what kind of volumes we are churning out. Okay, so that has to, and this help has to come from government, because our laws do not currently permit that to lay off anyone. Unfortunately, I practically on every forum I say that an entrepreneur of today, like SME entrepreneur, is like an antelope, vulnerable to attack from all sides. Okay, so here government has to refine their rules. If we have to survive, otherwise if we are not able to say meet up expenses, we don't survive. After 6 months, banks will be after you. They'll say, okay, you are declared NPA and you are getting auctioned. This threat will always be looming over our head. So in my opinion, for some time, for 2 years at least, government is thinking of 6 months. In my opinion, for 2 years, there should not be any account declared as NPA and sent to IBC. Okay. Rather, I would prefer that whatever current, cases are there in the tribunals, the government should come out and see if and segregate, bifurcate, or trifurcate. The cases which are where the frauds have not taken place, the siphoning has not taken place, government should simply give them the option of either OTS or give a restructuring, reasonable restructuring to them. That will lift the sentiment of people.
Sure. I have 3 more questions before we open the house for question answer to others. And I would request everybody to raise their hands who want to ask a question in the meantime. The first of the 3 last questions is, what's your advice to the youth and the students in particular what should they keep in mind looking at life and growth?
Okay. I would like to break this down broadly under 4 heads. Okay. One is those who are aspiring for jobs. Environment is tough. They should not wait for a longer period to get the job. If they can afford, they should opt for adding value to their qualification during this lean period. That is one. Second is those who cannot afford further education. They should try for getting the job, and whatever job comes in their way, they should not think of the salary. They should simply take it and enrich their experience. Money part will come later. That is one category. Second is those who want to join their parental business. they should not start from air-conditioned chamber of their father or, a new chamber for them. They should go to the shop floor and start from there. Okay. They must also think in their mind that what value addition they are doing to counter the extra load which has come on their unit. That is one thing which they have to think. And these people should also acquire knowledge of finance and accounts for future handling of the business. Then the third is those who want to start business. First question is, that should strike to them is why they want to start business. What is the motive behind starting business? Okay. Many will, many people think that they will make fast money. Okay. So if they do, because there is a perception that business people make a lot of money. If that is the reason, then they should not enter. Okay. Because the road to success goes through tunnel of failures. That should be in their mind. And yes, if they are convinced that they have to start business, they should see that their exposure to the bank is at the lowest level. That is number one. Okay. Because many a times what happens is when new entrants, they start business, first thing they do is they go and buy car of their choice. Okay. And the failure starts from day one. Now, the last one is, what are the learnings seen from COVID-19? That is very important. I feel value of freedom. We are confined. So we, in our houses, still we are feeling restless. So we should always be on the right side of the law, because we have seen what does confinement means even in our houses. So let us not think that we do something wrong and go to jail, and that will be much worse. So we must value the freedom and be on the right side of the law. Another thing is the patience. During this period, I think many of us have enhanced our patience levels also. So no impulsive decisions, adopt, look before you leap policy. Third is perseverance, strong will to fight the odds. This is my advice to the youngsters.
Thank you. Last two questions, as I said. Recently there have been projections made by the IMF for saying that India will grow at 1.9% 2020, that is from January to December 2020, and will grow at 7.4% or so in 2021, that is January to December 2021. Now, and there have been other estimates by different agencies varying from 1.7% of GDP growth in this current year 2020 to almost 4%, like ADB, World Bank, OECD, and various others. Now, do you think these are, given that you know the Indian economy, you have thrived and lived in the Indian economy, you know the positives and the negatives of Indian economy and the way we work, do you think these estimates are optimistic in your opinion, or they are conservative in mind?
Much more optimistic. Number one, I am nothing before people who make such predictions and projections. These are just numbers in today's situation. When people even do not know how long COVID-19 will last, okay? So these projections are simply numbers, nothing beyond that. Once the stabilization comes into the working, then the calculation of numbers will have some meaning. Till that, I don't think it has got any meaning. My feeling is that we may not have any growth. It could be negative also.
Last question from my side, and I request everybody to raise their hands who want to ask. I know two people who have already raised. Is life about money, or is it about power, or is it about something else?
This again goes to, it's a relevant term. Some people enjoy, they feel happy when they've got money. But some, they say when there is power. But to me, I think where the satisfaction of mind is there, life is about that. Otherwise, greed has got no end. You become, say, any high post you acquire, you may aspire for higher than that. That, that should be a working goal. okay, that you want to go to the next level, but in a legal and rightful manner.
True, I agree with you. I'll open up the question answer session now for another 5-10 minutes before we close for today. And I'll request Professor Junzo Watada, who is a Japanese from Waseda University, based in Malaysia at Petronas University currently as the head of the department and emeritus professor there, to maybe ask his question. And then I will request Professor Dr. Deepak Vora, if he's still around, to maybe ask his question, and then we go to the others. Junzo.
Okay. May I start this one? Oh,
Yes, just a second.
the video?
Just a second.
Video?
Yes, please.
Can I open video?
Yes, please. Please open. I'll just open the video.
Oh, the video is closed. Thank you very much. Quite interesting talk. In listening your talk, you talked about the robot or something like that. So the robot can beyond the human. So for example, the playing Go, playing chess, maybe computer is better than professional players. So in 16th century and 17th century, European people coming to India or China, they bought various things and bring back to Europe. They can sell 3 times or 4 times more expensive price than buying there. And at that time, people have produced differently, Europe, Asia, but today, all countries would like to mimic. If United States produce the automobile, China would like to produce the same things, and Malaysia, India. There is no difference. So of course, all countries would like to produce something and heighten the society. But in future, we cannot define the difference. So quite very severe competition. How should we win such a competition? There is no difference. So how do you think in India, economy, production? So of course, in near future, India will be the #1 in the world, like China. So, but how can we live such a situation? Quite difficult. Maybe in next century, Africa will be the #1. So how can we live in such an economical situation? Do you have any the good comments or the suggestion?
Thank you, Professor Watada. Maybe answer.
Yes, Mr. Raman. What I have understood is that the advantage India stands vis-a-vis other countries is what basically is trying to ask. Am I right in my understanding?
Correct. The competitiveness and the advantage. And how long would we...
Yeah. Currently, India has got advantage in terms of workforce. The Western world and the developed countries, they definitely produced remarkable goods, and the value engineering was done. But somewhere they lost that humans do carry value. Their population started dwindling, and that is where the problem arose. And that is why in many countries the production lines were shifted to China. The labor force was not there. So it is about countries taking care of their people and giving them the environment to work. And India today stands that chance. That is #1. And secondly, exceptions are always there, but India is a highly ethical country in terms of working. I think that will give comfort to the overseas buyer working with India as compared to China. This is my feeling.
Yeah, I'll go to Professor Vora now and request him to ask his question. Professor Vora is an honorary professor with us, and he has been the ambassador for India, various countries. And apart from that, he is currently advisor, special advisor to 2 prime ministers in Africa and also to 2 governments, and even within the country to the Prime Minister's office and others. So instead of introducing more, I'll request Professor Vora to maybe kindly answer.
No, before that, I will say good morning, Professor Vora. And I had the pleasure of listening to you once in PhD Chamber of Commerce when you were ambassador to, I think, Kazakhstan or somewhere, I don't remember exactly. And of course,
very kind of you. Just give me a second. Yeah. In 30 minutes. So, sir, thank you very much. Very kind of you. And thank you, Professor Raman. This is an intriguing topic, the essence of life and growth. Growth being defined in terms of material concepts like how many cars you produce, how many shirts you make, what infrastructure, GDP. In fact, it's very interesting that I've always believed it's a very gross in the sense of terrible domestic product, whereas the definition should be something entirely different. Sir, you talked about values and said that those are missing.
Yes.
With due respect, my grandparents used to tell my father that Hamari generation mein bahut values thi, your generation is useless. My father told me the same thing, that his generation had the best values, mine was useless. I say the same to my children. We had great values, yours are useless. No, sir. Values evolve over time. There is no permanence about values. With due respect to all our Islamic friends, they talk about going back to that glorious period of Rasul Wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad. Now, happy birthday. I don't want to go back. I like the internet. I like the motor car. I like my food. I like to travel by aircraft, etc. I'm not going back to riding camels and fighting with swords. Values evolve as human beings evolve. And I think to pass any kind of a judgment on which is superior to the other may not be acceptable to many of today's younger people. Because for them, and so let me tell you something else. I urge you to Google the Deloitte Attitude Survey. I don't know if you're familiar with this. They do.
No, I've not seen that, but Deloitte I'm familiar with.
Okay, they do an attitude survey every year. 2019, they interviewed 16,000 people in 42 countries. And these are millennials, that means born after 1985, and post-millennials, born after 1995. 16,042 countries. In terms of, they want you to know how optimistic they are about the future. And they were asked questions like, what's your top priority? Buying a car, having a wonderful wife or husband, getting a good job, a house. You would be amazed, sir, that at the bottom of the list in terms of priorities, in terms of optimism for the millennials and post-millennials or the Generation Z, the bottom of the list is Sweden, Norway, Japan, Germany, United States, England. Top of the list, a country you've heard of, it's called India. And the number one priority for these kids was none of the above, house, car, wife, was giving back to society. Sir, ये values बहुत तगड़ी हैं हमारी. आपके माँ बाप ने, मेरे माँ बाप ने जो दिए हैं और जो हमने अपने बच्चों को संस्कार दिए हैं, ये बदले नहीं हैं. ये बहुत तगड़े हैं, embedded in the human spirit. सिर्फ हमें अपनी आंखें और कान खोलने हैं, सर.
देखिए, let me tell you, I respect your observations.
This is not me. This is Deloitte.
There is a dilution, definitely. I'm not saying that the complete erosion of value has taken place, because the countries are running because some value system is definitely existing. Okay. I will cite you my personal example to compare what the value I had in mind and what I was talking about. Okay. During our time.
Still your time.
No, what I mean is that when, say, first time I was taken to school for admission, there was no requirement of birth certificate at that point of time. Whatever date the parents would tell, that was taken as sacrosanct, and the admission was given based on that. Okay. Now, during those times, invariably keeping government job in mind, the parents used to record underage, 1 year or 2 years. That was the prevalent thing. And one more factor was there, that they were, thinking that maybe 1 year, 2 year, if my child fails, then he will fall behind in government job. So underage is always good to counter that. And that happened with me. My higher secondary result was withheld because I was underage. Okay. And my father was always on non-family stations, so I had to tackle that all on my own. So I wrote a postcard to the cantonment in Mou, where I was born, that this is what is the problem I'm facing, and my father's name is this, he was this, and my date of birth is this. Please send me the birth certificate. And believe me, and this I'm talking of mid-60s, right? And the reply came within 1 month. Today, if you send this postcard to any place, you will not get any reply. That is the value change which has taken.
There are no more postcards. Sir, the example you have given, my wife and I, when our children were born, we registered their actual birth dates. We never thought about them getting government jobs.
Yeah, but I'm not saying 100%, but it used to happen.
I'm just telling you that, sir, the whole system of human existence is based on trust. I would urge you to read my Guru Francis Fukuyama's book, Trust. It's massive. It's got 1,000 pages. Only 3 pages are important. How did trust become a core value? Sir, Germany में मैं जब जाता हूँ या United States में या Japan में, वो मुझे कहता है कि मैं रात के 3 बजे आके तेरी गाड़ी ठीक कर दूंगा. I believe him implicitly.
Yes, yes.
कई देश हैं like China है या African देश हैं, Asian देश हैं. I would be reluctant to believe कि वो सुबह 3 बजे आएगा. Because trust is an intrinsic value embedded in those systems. And that is now coming to India, which our battle with this Chinese virus has showed up. The greater trust there is between the government and the citizens of India. So it's very easy to criticize. I work for the government.
I'm not criticizing. I'm saying the difference which I have seen. It's not it's an opinion. It's not a criticism, first of all. Don't take it that way. Okay.
My kids live in the United States, sir, and their children there. Whenever we go, my 3-year-old granddaughter, when I'm taking her to school, I cross the road and she points out and tells me, Nana, red light, mat cross karo. Now, that is the kind of value system. Sir, jitni gaali un logon ko deni hai dijiye, but they are inculcating in their kids respect for the law, which we are now doing in India.
That's fine. If it comes back, I will be the happiest person.
If I may intervene, we are going to hear more of Professor Vora tomorrow, as well as on Monday, a special session with him on another issue. And on we're going to hear Mr. Vora tomorrow extensively for about half an hour, 45 minutes.
Tomorrow, the 27th, I thought that's Monday.
Tomorrow is Essence of Life, the one on Essence of Life at 12 o'clock.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course.
So we're going to have that tomorrow. So I'll contain those thoughts of Professor Vora for that time. And I'll
Thank you very much, but I enjoyed your chat, sir.
Professor Vora is leaking the paper for tomorrow.
I don't know how old you are. I'm 16. I'm going to be 69. And I must tell you that with every passing year, I grow younger. My chronological age is 69. My biological age is in my 30s. And that's modern health systems.
Thank you, Professor Vora. I'd like to request Dr. Manoj Agarwal, who is the editor for Banking Frontiers, to kindly ask his question.
Yes, thank you, Aman. My question is actually about risk-taking. Am I audible clearly?
Audible. Can you switch on your video as well?
About what? Your question is about what?
About risk-taking. So entrepreneurship is described as the art of risk-taking. Banking is also about the business of risk-taking. Now, is there any lesson that one must learn as an entrepreneur and as a banker from this virus crisis? Or should we continue the strategy?
You see, today, entrepreneurship is definitely a risk area, okay? And one has to be very calculative now. The times are not that good, so one has to play safe in today's time.
Thank you.
I'll ask now Professor Yamini to kindly ask her question. I'll unmute her.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kapoor.
Good afternoon.
I would like to ask you that, your leadership style strongly focuses on transparency and accountability.
Yes.
In your opinion, would it take for a leader today at the SME or at the medium enterprise or the large scale to steer its company through the crisis?
As I indicated that, transparent communication with all, reality should be known to your people. There's some disturbance.
Yeah, internet problem. Can you just start now again?
Hi. Yeah. So basically the transparency with your people, workforce down the line, that will be the key, because everyone should know. Otherwise, the status of your company you are heading. Otherwise, people carry impression that we are making, the management is making, or the owner is making a lot of money, and they are draining it out. That is the general perception. So if that communication meetings are held, normally in ownership businesses, the communications are not there. So that communication meeting is very, very important to bring in a trust level among all the people.
Thank you. I see that I have among the participants Mr. Rajiv Saxena. Mr. Rajiv Saxena actually has been a senior advocate at High Court and at Low Court, and a philosopher in himself. I've known him for a good 25 years now. He incidentally had been a student of my father as well, so I've known him personally and professionally both. I'll request if Mr. Rajiv Saxena could, pour in his question which he wanted to ask.
First of all, am I audible, Amanji?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Good morning, Professor Kapoor. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure hearing you and my idol, Mr. Deepak Vora, whom I follow very strictly. And it's so wonderful to see you talking today, Professor Kapoor.
Yeah.
I always have, I have been brought up in a joint family in Old Delhi. And I always thought that the values that have been available to us all during our younger days, I'm 62 now. So I'm just 7 years short of Professor Vora. But I have seen himself while my growing. And hello. And I think that the value addition, as I would call it, a virtual value addition or virtuous value addition that is happening, it's been there from family to family. It's been there from ages to ages, and it's been there from institution to institution. I believe I have been a student of Professor J.D. Agarwal, and I feel personally that what we have been taught by professors like you, Professor Kapoor and Professor Vora, the students, if he is a student, he would definitely follow those virtues and values throughout his life. Times may change, but those values cannot. And today is the time when those values matter a lot more. As you have said that there had been a change of date. If I am not wrong, our minister, Mr. V.K. Singh, has had this problem during his tenure, and he is now a minister. And despite all the hula bulla which has been created about his age, but that's been passed. That's been passed, and reasons were very many for those reasons. But today, what we see, despite COVID-19 situation, despite all what is happening, I have a very, very strong belief and expectation that times to come are going to be very good. And this COVID-19 situation has also given us a understanding and feeling of what it is going to come, and the forbearance and tolerance that it has inculcated in last 30 days in all of us perhaps is going to lead us to a greater system. As you have very rightly said, sir, to the query of Professor Yamini Agarwal, confidence is built only by communication. Yeah. And I strongly and firmly believe that if you are open and if you are real and if you are true to your conviction and communication to your employees, or for that matter with anyone in your relation, employer-employee relationship is also a relationship of very important value. Once you are open and once you are frank in your communication and coordination, perhaps coordination becomes much easier, and still easier becomes the process of working together. Thank you, sir, and hope to see you soon, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Amanji. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ranjit, would you like to respond to it, or maybe add a few words to it before we close the session for today?
I will just, since he comes from legal fraternity, okay, and as you had mentioned in the beginning that being in business, you go through this grind of going to the courts, okay. The perception about business people before judiciary is needs some refinement, because when a businessman goes to the court, half his battle is lost because he is a businessman. So if all the lawyers can come together and change that perception, that will be a great day for businesses in the country.
Thank you, Ranjit, for this positive note, and I hope things will certainly improve and we'll see more positivity. I am very positive about the, time going ahead. In fact, for almost since January, I have been saying that there would be positivity and there would be growth. We at the Institute have been studying various pandemics and the recession scenarios happening in the last 150 years. And our findings so far in the last 3-4 months, yes, Rajiv, I'll come back to you in a second. Last 3-4 months have been that, after every pandemic or a tsunami or even, a crisis scenario, there has been tremendous growth which has been observed in a span of about 6 months to a year. And I am fairly bullish even this time, although it's very much in control, we will see that kind of a thing happen. Rajiv wants to still add up something and maybe ask, I'll open it up.
No. Only one thing to what Professor Kapoor has just said. I would assure him that courts trust in what lawyers say. So you need to only have a good lawyer to represent you. And, and I believe that when you are appearing before a judicious judge, an honest judge, then you need not to worry whether you are a businessman, you are a teacher, you are a worker at the street, or you are a periwala. It's all the same. It is only how well you are represented and how truthfully you are being represented that is most important, sir. And this is my experience of 36 years in last year. And believe you in me, I have, Professor Aman Agarwal would vouch for it. I have never ever bothered who the judge in the court is, because I feel that a person sitting in the seat of the court on the judge represents the Almighty God, because and for that reason only he is called my Lord or your honor. So I firmly believe that when you go to the courts, that belief is mistaken, because somewhere down the line, somewhere the business houses or the businessmen are either being misrepresented or do not represent themselves. That is my firm belief, sir. And that's it. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you very much for your observation.
Thank you. That positive note of of the courts, because it's important, in the judiciary, because most places around the world, including the United States, as a great matter of fact, the judiciary is always criticized for being biased or not giving the natural justice. But I am happy that you brought out that positive note. I'd like to thank Ranjit ji for having taken time out to spare, and the rest of the participants who have joined us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone enjoyed whatever I had said, Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're ending the meeting now.